Betta fish are some of the most personable, unique, and colorful fish to keep in this hobby, which is why I'm going to teach you guys exactly how to set up the perfect habitat for them so you can keep them happily in your tanks at home. We are going to cover habitat, enrichment, water parameters, and tank mates. So buckle up. First up is habitat. Let's dive right into it, starting with plants. Now, the reason I like to lean so heavily on stemmed plants in Betta fish tanks specifically is because Betta fish really like slower flowing tanks. Stemmed plants do a really good job of breaking the flow of water into lots of different parts. We don't want to have low filtration or slow filtration. So get yourself a good filter and then plant a bunch of different kinds of stemmed plants right where your filter comes out, and it will do the trick for you, meaning that you don't have to compromise on your filtration in your tank, and your Betta gets a really cool little jungly part of its habitat for it to kind of cruise around in, explore, and enjoy. Now, the reason that I'm saying to plant all of your stemmed plants or most of your stemmed plants in one area is because Betta fish not only need lots of space to explore, they also need a decent amount of open space in the tank so that they can sort of move around in freely and not have to worry about things touching them. And obviously in smaller tanks, that becomes a bigger issue because Betta fish have got lots of fins, so lots of things to touch. So putting all of your stemmed plants in one spot means that it can choose when it wants to be explorative or lean up against your plants, etc., etc. Another important part in habitat is to make sure that your Betta fish has got hiding spots. The reason that's important is because some Betta fish take a long time to get used to their environment. Giving them a hiding spot reduces the stress that they experience in your tank so much, and a lower stress environment means less getting sick, less maybe fin rot, less overall issues, and lower stress fish show their colors a lot more too, which when it comes to Betta, obviously is a massive payoff because Betta fish have amazing coloration a lot of the time. Betta fish tend to live in quite tropical areas of the globe. That 25-26 degree mark tends to be the sweet spot for most Betta fish varieties. It means that you're replicating the most important part of this Betta fish's environment so that its body functions correctly. Without that heat, you're gonna have digestive issues, blood flow issues, all sorts of stuff, and we don't want that from the get-go. The one thing that they can't handle is fluctuations in your pH. So what you're wanting to do here is get a pH of between 6.5 and 7.5. Anything in that area is gonna be pretty well good. I tend to keep my Betta fish in slightly acidic water, something like 6.8. I use things like Indian almond leaves and botanicals like casuarina seeds. Those tend to add the tannins to the water that act as an antifungal and an antimicrobial agent, reduces the amount of times you're going to get fin rot in that tank. Fish will feel a lot more confident when they're in sheltered places, and they know that in more tannin-filled water, they can move more freely because there's less visibility in that water from predators like us, birds, and other big fish. Moving on to tank mates. Now, this has forever been a touchy subject when it comes to Betta fish. Another name for Betta fish is Siamese fighting fish. So you can get the idea. These guys don't really like friends. Now, I've seen tanks with females that have got lots in there, and they call that like a Betta sorority, I think. The thing that I've tried with that didn't work too well. There was still some beef between the girls, which tended to lead to like nipped fins, which then led to fin rot. So I tend to leave the tank mates side of things to the simple things like shrimp, bristle noses, and very fast fish like tetras, that sort of thing. If you do want to keep more than one Betta, make sure you're not keeping two males. That's almost like one of the biggest no-nos. If you've ever had success keeping two male Betta in the same tank, let me know in the comments below. And if you know any really good tank mates for Betta that you know is like proven, time-tested, and works really well, let me know in the comments below as well, because I need to learn this stuff. Now we're going to move on to enrichment and what to feed. What you'll notice happens is that they always hang out in their favorite spots of the tank, and they're ever so rarely in the spots of the tank that they don't really like very much. This gives you as a fish keeper an opportunity to add enrichment to this Betta fish's life. The spots in your tank that your Betta fish is indifferent to, you're able to mix up. anything that sort of changes the environment or habitat to add to the curiosity of your betta fish, but not spike its anxiety too much. So if you put new things in its favorite spot, it's gonna get anxious because it really wants to hang out in its favorite spot, but there's new things there all the time. So it stops hanging out in its favorite spot. The way to fix that is change its least favorite spot into a favorite spot too, with the entire goal of making the entire tank your betta fish's favorite spot to be. The other way to increase the enrichment of your betta fish, which is actually pretty unique to betta fish, is things like getting a hammock. We'll tend to use it as a little hangout spot and fall asleep in that hangout spot. But if you don't have that many plants with big leaves, use the hammock and it'd be an awesome way to increase the enrichment of one of the boring spots that your betta fish doesn't like too much. The other cool thing is an exercise mirror. So you wanna make sure you've got clean glass and a low tannin filled tank, but you get this mirror basically and you hold it up to the male betta fish. It'll look at itself in the mirror and think, oh my God, there's another male betta fish here, and sort of flare itself up. It looks beautiful and it sort of shimmers the entire time as well. And so you get to see it fully display its beauty and prowess that in a way that you don't get to experience without that sort of dangerous response. And when it comes to feeding your betta fish, you have so many options. The thing that I don't want you guys to rely on is just store-bought food. Betta fish are quite small fish and they don't require that many nutrients to survive. So feeding them on bloodworms is kind of the absolute baseline that I would keep them at to make sure that they're super healthy. Make sure that you're feeding it defrosted worms. But we don't want to just feed our betta fish on one protein source only. There's plenty of other things you can choose from. You can get this stuff that's essentially like shredded up insects in like a powdered form. That in these little tiny sort of pellets is a really high quality food for your betta fish. Another really cool frozen variety of food is brine shrimp. That's a really healthy thing to be feeding your betta fish to. As long as you're giving it a variety of things and it's relatively protein based, your betta will live an awesome, happy life. And if you're not already, hit the subscribe button to get closer to your aquarium hobby.